All right. I think everybody's here. So main goal of today is to go through the Puma rollout plan that we have a draft for with memory team. Glad Andrew's here, so maybe we can identify any how far off we are on the plan, because there's going to be some dependencies on infrastructure team. And also, soon, US folks, we have a holiday tomorrow, so we'll be offline. Has everybody taken the opportunity to review the issue for the memory team Puma planning? I don't want to have to read through it all. All right, I'll do a quick run through. So we outlined some of the metrics that we're going to gather. We have an epic for it, and even called out the specific subset of issues that Camille defined. I think it was late last week. We have an outline for testing, and then just to call out to our load testing steps and omnibus ticket that we have, best default values for Puma. Let's see, infrastructure. So this was originally a ticket that had been created a while back that we promoted to an epic, so we could call out all the steps that we need to and have individual tickets for all the steps that need to take place for us to be able to roll out Puma onto GitLab once we're done with all the development work. This is probably something I need to work with Andrew, infrastructure. I don't know, I keep calling out Andrew because he came to a memory team meeting once. He may not be the right person, I'm not sure. Are you the right person, Andrew, or should I be working with someone else?
I need to talk to, I mean, like literally since that last meeting, I've just been firefighting. And, you know, which takes precedence, but is also like a ridiculous way to spend my time. I need to talk to Jerry about this. A lot of the work is going to be like chef and that kind of stuff, and that's not really my expertise. So I'll talk to Jerry about who the right person is going to be to actually, you know, make the changes to the run books or to the chef recipes, etc.
Okay. Where'd it go? Sorry. I'll have to struggle through me typing this in the issue.
G. Lopez Fernandez, GLO, and then auto, yeah.
All right. So once we get those identified, it looks like those will probably carry over to next week. We had initially earmarked those without talking to Andrew or the infrastructure team to try and work that out this week. But fully aware that the plan that we wrote is optimistic and dependent on other teams. So some of these things would likely slip. So I'll carry those down. So you've got a lot of the issues created. I don't think we have 100% coverage yet. And then that's pretty much it for this week. It's all about planning and identification, and I'll carry most of these over to the next week. I think Jingyu is not here. This one will likely carry over. He identified some things that were not initially identified in the issue that he's going to have to work on, so it's going to take a little bit longer. Is there any way that we can get feedback from the community, from anybody who has actually turned on Puma using the GDK? Because the option's there, it's just not on by default. I doubt there's an automated way we can get any feedback, but have we gotten any feedback at all about Puma usage with GitLab?
My experience has been that 95% of the people that use GDK on a daily basis are people in the company. And so when you discover a problem, the people that normally discover a problem are people that know how to get in touch with you and reach out. as long as you announce it in like hash development and hash backend, and let people know that changes are being made.
Okay. So I will, if we haven't heard any feedback, the only anecdotal feedback I've heard is that it works. We haven't heard anything about any kind of performance increase, decrease, any problems. So, all right. Let's see. So for next week, we need to make sure that we're on track for the 12.1 milestones and then carry over anything we have for 12.2. Probably because these things are carrying over a bit, we will review the plan again next week and make sure that we have some confidence. We have stakeholders from infrastructure, make sure there's no dependencies that are going to block our timeline, and then we can adjust accordingly. Working more on validation testing, identify success criteria around what performance we expect, finish up a lot of the metrics milestone or metrics issues that we're working on this week. And then you can read the rest of the plans for the subsequent weeks. And the last few weeks they're empty right now until we work with infrastructure and figure out timing on when we can get this stuff rolled out and what the dependencies are. We're pretty well planned out for this week and next. That's about it. So any questions or concerns or any major gaps that we may have missed on this draft so far?
So how far are we from a point at which you can flick one switch in Omnibus and basically run Puma on an instance?
Is it working today like that? This is exactly how we run Puma. You basically like change the switch and we run Puma.
Okay, so it's like one GitLab RB difference at the moment.
Yes, pretty much like that. Probably like enabling Puma and configuring number of threads and workers. This is what you need to do, and disable Unicorn. So like we talk basically like at the menu at changing two options.
Okay, yeah, I mean in that case, the infrastructure overhead to kind of turn it on is very low, but then obviously there's still the measuring side of it and comparing and actually setting out like what success is. That's much harder.
Yeah, so like the idea behind that plan was really like do kind of gradual rollout when we learn and build graphing, alerting, and runbooks together while doing that. Because I expect that like we then run full throttle at some point, and like we memory team gonna focus on something different that is not Puma related. So I think that the idea is really like working now together like as deeply as possible on like handing off the management on Puma.
Yeah, I mean if it's a default, then it should just be Okay. Yeah, I'll talk with Jerry about that and figure it out. But like I'd hope to start on this last time I spoke, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we're kind of hitting a critical point in GitLab.com at the moment.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to cover here? I think all the current work the team is working on is all directly related to these goals, so I think we're in a good spot right now. Take that as a no. So really the only thing else we had on the agenda was talk about Jan. Jan asked about transitioning back to plan. And sadly, he wants to go back. We don't want him to go. He's been great to have on the team, but yeah, starting on the 9th, he'll go back to. It'll be okay, Alexi. He'll go back to plan team. I talked to Sean about, I'm sure there'll be some lingering questions about the work that he's been working on with Alexi and Chinyu, and he said, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Feel free to continue to ask questions. He's a maintainer, and it's expected of the role. So. We'll have to make him feel guilty for leaving us, but Sad to see him go. All right, that's all I had on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else we need to cover today? All right. We'll stop sharing and stop recording. Thanks for showing it. Thanks, Andrew.